Well, with the regular season ending, it means that's the time for Georgia Tech to find those next guys to fill the void.
You are Locked On Georgia Tech, your daily podcast on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Locked On Georgia Tech. I am one of your hosts, Caleb Johnson. Not smart enough to get into Georgia Tech, but smart enough to talk about Georgia Tech football. Taking this daily journey, covering the Yellow Jackets with me is my co-host, Jarvis Davis, who's been covering Atlanta sports for the last 15 years. I want to start off by saying thank you for making Locked On Georgia Tech your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. We're free and available wherever you download your podcast, and wherever you go to download them, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Today on the show, we'll get into recruiting analyst Naje Wilkins answers some of your questions, awards showing an identity that Brent Key is building. But first, Jarvis, when the regular season ends, this is when you got to start filling those holes that get created because, as you start looking at a depth chart, a roster sheet, and you see those SRs next to guys' names.
Or the RSRs.
And you're like, oh no, there's quite a few of those SRs, aka seniors, on this Georgia Tech roster that now you've got to find a way to be able to replace those guys, because everything that you built to have a 9-3 season, and we'll have some time to take a look back over the course of this season and look at the highs and the lows, and certainly kind of how it compares to years past. But regardless of that, Jarvis, it's like you have gotten to the end of a year and all those SRs, they're gone. They're going to be leaving campus either before or hopefully after the bowl game. And now you got to start focusing on, and you got a very short amount of time to focus on who's going to be those replacements coming up next season.
Yeah, and when I think about the biggest need for this team, for me, it always going to start up front. Sorry, I'm biased for a lot of reasons, very much so, and it has to be defensive tackle. I think the middle of your defense is pretty much gone. Talking about Kilo Stone, Matthew Alexander, Jordan Vandenberg, and Jason Moore, all gone. Guys who played a lot of snaps for you this year. So Kilo Stone not so much because he was dealing with injuries, but when you think about it from overall standpoint, these guys need to be replaced. And when you look at like the issues that this defense had coming down the stretch toward the end of the year, when it wasn't Jordan Vandenberg making plays, pretty much no one was making plays. Right. So, when you have a guy like that made plays for you up the middle of this defense, like you build a defense from inside out. Like, I understand the edge guys. I got a couple guys that's promising for you coming down the pipeline, but it has to start in that middle. And I think that, the biggest need for Brent Key is to get these big boys in here. And he even said it himself. He's like, man, we got to recruit and we need to get bigger. I go back to that guy up 316 when he first got hired. And that was the first thing that came out of his mouth. He said, hey, man, we have to get bigger. And when you understand that, especially in the SEC, right, we get why they have that reputation and why they get the benefit of the doubt in all situations.
Sure.
It's because that competition is deep and those linemen are big and they can run. So I think the biggest need for Tech going forward, it has to be defensive tackle. And it looks, from the looks of what the guys they are in on, just to give a couple names, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later with Naje, but, there's a guy by the name of Christian Speakman. He's a 3-star guy out of Morrow High School, 6'4", 330. Yeah, that's big. That's the size. That's exactly what you need.
Big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy, and I think I was that exact size coming out of high school myself 20 years ago or 25 years ago. Aging myself.
Jarvis, I love the humble brag though. I love the hey, I was about that same size coming out.
Look, a humble brag would be that I'm below that weight. Now, I'm not below that weight, so I'm working on it though. I'm working on myself, Caleb. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the whole self-care thing, so I'm trying to get myself together, get my life together.
Yeah, we always are,
Yeah, so but I talked to one of my guys over there at Morrow who coached Christian. He said he's legit. He's the real deal. He played both ways for Morrow this season, and he had his best year. And he is hands down. I know he played both ways, but defensive tackle is where he's going to be. And it looks like Tech might be in the league for a guy like that. So yeah, they already starting with feeling their need.
How much, Jarvis, do you think that's a position that you can just replace with youth, or how important do you think it'll be for Brent Key to go look at the transfer portal, because that'll certainly be a part of all of these sorts of things. I guess is that too much of an expensive position to go after?
No, I mean, you have to look at it. You have to have those conversations, because here's the thing. One thing that I will say about me looking back, I wasn't used to my body. Like, I wasn't used to playing big, right? Of course, I was born big. I was born big. I became big, and I started playing football.
That's what,
you know what I'm saying? I was big boned. You know what I'm saying? So, it took me a while to kind of get used to my body and understand how to use leverage and certain technique and what's going to work for me being so tall as a defensive lineman. And that's an adjustment period. And some guys take a little bit longer to do that. So, that's why you got to load up on the position and see and kind of throw everybody in the pot and see who comes out, but yeah, you have to at least engage that portal, because there's nothing like experience. That's why I feel like the game is kind of different now from a recruiting standpoint, because when you actually think about it, Caleb, a lot of guys don't even like to recruit high school players for those exact reasons, because you have to develop them. You have to have a hell of a position coach. Jess Simpson has been doing a pretty good job with these guys, coaching down there in the flats, but a lot of times you can't put all your eggs in that one basket. You have to go get some guys that, hey, he had 6 sacks and he played in the SEC, and they trying to get rid of him because they got a 5-star freshman that's about to come in and play right away. Hey, man, let me talk to you. Let me get you. What's your phone number? Let me see what's going on. You popping in that portal or what? What's up? Let's see what's going on. So yeah, man. To answer your question, yes, you have to. That has to be an option as well.
Yeah, Jarvis, I like to put it in the comparison this way. With using the transfer portal, I think if you use it well, it's like fast food, where, hey, sometimes you got a busy schedule and you got to go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through to get you something. Now, you don't want to do that every day, because then it won't be too good for your health. And the teams that I feel like rely too much on the transfer portal, it ends up coming back to bite them, a la, Florida State, amongst others. Yes. And however, if you got a busy schedule, though, you can't always cook at home. You can't always just have these guys that you bring up out of the high school ranks. And so finding that perfect sweet spot is going to be, a tough task for Blake Gideon and for head coach Brent Key. Real quick, I want to get onto another position that I've seen just from that. When you start looking at names and you start looking at those SRs, man, that tight end room and how many seniors you are graduating out of there. I know you and I had talked, off the show about how the tight end position wasn't used enough this season. Sure. And that's certainly something that I would like to see expanded under Buster Faulkner and Brent Key. However, when they did use them, especially in the last couple of weeks, it was really effective. Going to Brett Seither for 30 yards a pop was like, hey, maybe you should have been doing more of this. I know Beetham had his drops there in the middle of the season, but he was able to respond, and get some touchdown grabs. So having, those two guys, JT Byrne also graduating amongst the group. And then, you're looking at Luke Harpering leading a group of really, really young players. And there's only a few of these guys with Harpering, Connor Roush, Blake Ragsdale, Kevin Roche, who are going to be coming back. And that's if some of those guys don't look elsewhere and make a move, for what they see as best for their career. So I feel like the tight end position is one underutilized that you definitely want to, in the blocking areas, but with a guy like Luke Harpering, continuing to develop as a pass catcher, getting those guys as well and expanding your offense of, what's going to be Aaron Philo moving forward kind of thing. Like this is all new territory. And I feel like sometimes, you've got to address positions here or there when you've got some of the younger talent and the veterans mixed all in there. And sometimes it's just simple as, hey, man, we've got a bunch of guys graduating out of here and we've got to go and replace them. And I think that tight end room is certainly one of those areas.
Well, just real quick, I'm glad. Just a real quick point. So I'm glad that you brought up Aaron Philo. One thing about that can be a quarterback's biggest friend is a tight end, because what becomes an issue when you are constantly trying to throw outside the numbers. And what tight ends normally do, they go up the seams and they put pressure on those safeties. And safeties play safety for a reason. They can't play corner. They can't cover one-on-one. So a lot of times you can get, if you have a really good tight end that can block for you, so you can keep them in early downs and get out there and run some good routes for you and be a reliable pass catcher, that can really mess up some things for a defense, especially if a defense that likes to play a lot of zone coverage, right? So if you got a team that's playing a lot of zone coverage, man, you get those tight ends running up those seams, man, and that can be a quarterback's best friend, specifically Aaron Philo.
Oh, for sure. Talked a lot about seniors and the guys who are going out of this Georgia Tech program. One in particular just won an award, and I think it shows the identity that Brent Key is building here at Georgia Tech. The holidays always feel a little easier when you already know the perfect gift. And Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family or friends, Omaha Steak delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. Look, I personally have been given Omaha Steaks as a gift before, and it's one of the most exciting things to open the door, see that box is there, and know, man, this food is about to taste incredible, especially when it hits the grill. Save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off side-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Georgia Tech your first listen today. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Well, we learned within the last 24 hours, Jarvis, that Georgia Tech, and I would expect this is not the only award that a member of this Yellow Jacket squad is going to win. However, offensive guard Keelin Rutledge has been named one of the 2025 Brian Piccolo Award honorees. This is for someone who shows strength amidst dealing with, a big time event that has affected their life, whether it be like a health condition or whatever might be the case. And Keelan Rutledge, who had that insane accident back in 2023 and has been able to bounce back and be a key member of this team. It's really cool for him to get this honor, and it feels like, Jarvis, it shows the identity of this Georgia Tech football squad under Brent Key.
Absolutely, man. Because here's the thing, when you think about taking on the identity of your head coach. And I know a lot of people cringe when I bring up his name. Go back and bring up Jeff Collins. You know, he has an identity that no one believed, right?
Yeah.
Like, he tried to portray himself to be a head coach. He wasn't a head coach. He was he was a salesman. He was a snake oil. I don't know if he was a snake oil salesman. I think he had good intent.
So harsh, but
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go that far. He's not Lane Kiffin by no means. He's nowhere near mine. You know what I'm saying? Lane. Yeah. I found a way to mention Lane Kiffin on this show too much. I feel
too many times, man.
Drop it in the comments if you feel I'm talking about Lane Kiffin too much. But anyway, I think that when you think about what Jeff Collins brought to the table, like, there was no identity. We didn't understand, hey, we're going to play good defense and stop the run defensively because he was a defensive coach, or, hey, we're going to hang 50 on you and all that stuff. Like, you didn't have any clue as to what this team was going to put out there on Saturdays. When you talk about Brent Key, it's the total opposite, right? You understand that these guys are going to be tough, even down to the quarterback, man. You know, quarterback supposed to be the pretty boy, you know, Carson Beck, you know, got all the girls, you know, riding around the Lamborghini truck and all that stuff. No. Not here. Not under Coach Key. Man, you talking about a quarterback in Haynes King that he's the type of guy that going to talk about, yeah, coach, man, I was peeing a little blood the other night. What? Wait a minute. So
I'm okay, though.
You're right. Exactly. Yes. Ain't nothing little about that, sir. But yeah, that's the thing that embodies who this team is, and that's because of Coach Key and Keelin Rutledge right there, man. You talk about the accident, man. Being able to come back from something like that is just being able to walk. He had to have his toe like redone, and
that's what I'm saying.
Reconstructed, and hey, man, let's put it back together and do it, man. Learn how to basically walk again, dude.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. That's a tough son of a gun, and I think that when you think about just tough head coaches in the NFL, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Mike Tomlin falls in love with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not saying gonna be like a top round pick, but those are the type of guys that get opportunities, man, because that's the trait that not everyone has. And I know people probably won't believe that, but it's very much true.
So just for the people who aren't familiar with Keelin Rutledge's story, he was in a vehicle that was hit and flipped over a barricade off 85 South, rolled a couple of times. When he got out of the vehicle and tried to get his way back to safety, his left big toe was, as it is called, severely injured. They had to put it back on his foot with pins. And then once it healed, it didn't heal properly just because, hey, sometimes with infections and things that happens. So they had to re-break his toe and to fix his entire foot on that left side. What was this? I saw this article that they had. Yeah, it said he had to reset the toe bones, skin graft to promote proper healing. He spent 7 months in intensive wound care and rehab, learning proper toe function before he was able to return back in 2024, and has been such a crucial part of this offensive line that's now, been up as a semifinalist for the Lombardi Award. It's just been such an incredible thing. And I take it a step further. Like, not only is the dude tough, but he cares about his school and the rivalry that he's a part of, because Jarvis, Friday before the game, and clean old fashioned hate, that man would not even shake hands as a captain with the other side. And I think, on the one hand, you're like, sportsmanship. And on the other hand, I go like, I don't know, like
that's how you know it's real, man.
That's how you know it's real. That's
how you know it's real. Brent won't even say their name. He still didn't say their name after, even when he was giving them kudos in the post-game presser. I was sitting right there. He still didn't say their name.
Yeah.
And can I just say this for all the y'all 316 folks who listen to this podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody got to respect you. Ain't nobody got to give you kudos. Ain't nobody got to give you pat on the back. Y'all got 2 trophies. That's all the kudos, pat on the back that you need. So stop coming to us to bow down and kiss the baby and the ring and all that stuff, man, nobody ain't gonna do all that. We understand. So yeah, I'm with Keelin Rutledge. I'm on board with that, man. I'm with Brent Key too. You ain't gotta say that name for what? For what? Come on, man.
Nah, there's definitely a sense of pride involved with all these things, but a really cool accomplishment for Keelin Rutledge to be recognized and honored. Obviously, of course, you know, the legend Brian Piccolo and winning the Piccolo Award for toughness and for your response to a major life event. All right, Jarvis, on the other side of the break, Naje Wilkins, who is a mastermind when it comes to college recruiting and the likes, especially covering Georgia Tech, he's going to join the show. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and you'll have your ticket loaded within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for the fine print. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go download Game Time.
Wrapping things up with my main man, Naje Wilkins. He is the recruiting analyst for Sports Illustrated. He is the recruiting guru. So you guys, we got a special guest for you here today as we get ready for signing day here for Georgia Tech. And Naje, we were talking about earlier about the biggest need. I said I was talking with Caleb, and I said that the biggest need for Tech is they need to fill this defensive tackle spot. So when a guy that I kind of came across, a name I want to run by you and kind of get your feels as far as how close Tech is a guy locked on your high school, Tico Crittenden. Is he a guy that Tech fans should be looking forward to putting on that Tech yellow?
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely in that mix. They're definitely in that conversation right now. Two teams going neck and neck is them and Mississippi State, right? So it comes down to, you know, where he wants to do. Does he want to leave home or does he want to stay home, right? He could be a hometown hero. He plays at Lithonia High School. They're coming off one of their better seasons. They just went to a quarterfinals. Unfortunately, lost to Creekside 35-7. But, you know, a program that's ascending, right? Had one of their best years in program history. And then also you had Coach Jess Simpson. You had Coach Pope go out to see him personally during their bye week this past year. So obviously that's massive. They like him. They already have obviously 3 guys committed right now. I think they're trying to fill in about 1 or 2 more spots, obviously, on that defensive line for this recruiting class. But they just want guys that can put in their plug and play, and you can be in that rotation early on and often. Remember, they're going to lose a couple guys, right? Kilo Stone's gone. Obviously, Jordan Vandenberg's gone. So who's going to be up next? You're probably going to hit the portal, get a couple guys, but you're also probably going to have to lean on a couple guys, young guys, in the rotation in order to help contribute. I think Tico fits it like a glove. And if he was to come to Georgia Tech, he'd be a great fit.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to one of my guys who I really trust over there at Lithonia, and he said Tico can be one of those dudes. But I think that one thing that kind of concerned me a little bit. Now you say he's a mid-year guy. Now, from my understanding, is those are guys that will have to come in and enroll right before training camp. Now, how does Coach Key feel about those type of guys?
So now that all just depends, right? You know, for the most part, if you're not an early enrollee, basically early enrollee is you're going to roll in January, right? You're going to sign, you know, in the sign day next couple of days, and you're going to be on campus in January, right? Well, how that benefits you essentially is you get to start school earlier, right? You get to go through off-season workouts. You get to go through obviously spring practice. spring game, right? Summer workouts, summer practices, and then fall camp. When you're in mid-year enrollee, to your point, Jarvis, you basically, you're rolling to school, you miss a lot of the summer stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then you go right into it in fall camp. Now, reason I say that is you have less opportunities. Fall camp is only about 13, 14 days. You have less opportunities to impress the coaches when they're trying to fill out different positions, the depth chart, where you're going to fit in that. Compared to the spring, you have 4 or 5 more opportunities to kind of show coaches what you can do, and also fall camp.
Yeah, man, that like just the way you laid it out, it just brings it home because, like you said, when you coming into camp is not as long as it used to be back in my day.
No,
it used to be about 3-4 weeks. You can really get in there and really show what you have and impress the coaches to the point where you can make yourself a part of the rotation. So yeah, obviously the odds will be against him, but from what I hear, he can be one of those dudes. But I want to talk to you about another defensive tackle, guy Christian Speakman out of Morrow High School. Where is Tech on with Speakman, and how close are they, or how warm is he for coming down to the Flats?
Very warm. They've done a great job in his recruitment. Their offer really changed his offer. Christian Speakman, obviously out of Morrow High School, 3-star prospect according to 247 Sports. But he's going to play on the defensive side of the ball, right? 6'4", about 320 plus pounds, and he kind of fills that need, kind of like in that interior of the defensive line. They're going to coach him up well. It may be a little bit of a process for him since he's played a lot of the offensive line, but they're in a good spot. He's taken 3 visits. He took one official visit November 21st. Unofficial November 28th, I believe, when they played Georgia, and he took one in October as well. So he's been on campus a lot, gotten a chance to see it. And remember, this is a former Georgia State commit. All right, so they ended up flipping a pretty much in-state, in-house prospect over from nearby Georgia State to obviously come to Tech with a potential to get some early playing time. So would be a good fit. We'll see if obviously they close the deal, but they sit in a very, very good spot for Christian Speakman.
Yeah, I think, like you said, this is right along with the biggest need for Tech in my opinion, because like a guy like Jordan Vanderberg, Jason Moore, all those guys, Kilo Stone, he is a guy who I felt that he was their best interior pass rusher. So I think that they have to get those spots filled. And like you mentioned earlier, portal is probably going to have to be an option as well. I want to kind of switch things up just a little bit. We'll go outside on the edge. Tell me about Jordan Carter, man. Get me excited, Naje, because I feel like this one, he might be a good one.
Oh, he's elite, man. Well, every time I've seen him play, I've always been impressed. I've been following this kid since he was a sophomore. Started out with Obviously Douglas County's been there. Multiple 10-sack plus seasons for you. He just, at points, he's just unblockable. It's nothing you can really do. He has the power, the grit. He also has the quick first step. He has a multitude of pass rush moves he can put on you. This kid is elite, man. And he was committed to Texas A&M for a long time. I heard they was going after obviously different prospects and stuff like that. But this race really comes down to Jarvis, Tennessee, Auburn, and Georgia Tech, right? What does Jordan want to do? Does he want to stay home, or does he want to go obviously Tennessee, go for kind of I don't want to say a more name brand program, but a program that's been putting guys into the league. You look at Joshua Josephs, right? He's going to probably be obviously a prospect that you see get to the NFL. You look at last year, James Pierce Jr., who plays for your Falcons, Jarvis, and see the impact he's having this year. So it all comes down to that, but he can really be a guy, I think, year one for Georgia Tech that can really stand out. You couple and combine him with an Andre Fuller, right, junior, who's I think is going to have a really good sophomore season, along with a Christian Garrett. You got some guys now that can make some noise on that defensive line, an area they've struggled with creating pressure consistently in the run game. We know about it this year. They didn't defend the run very well. They was like 150th ranked plus in defending the run. Jordan Carter is good at contain. He's not only good at rushing the passer, but he's also good at containing the edge and also making a difference in the run game.
Yeah, that's exactly what Tech needs. And I think that, when we'll be looking forward to see whether or not he's going to be willing to take a trip on down to the Flats for the next 3 years, because based off of what I'm hearing, he might be a guy that can play on Sunday as well. And that Tech needs as many of those guys they can possibly get. Now, let's talk about some of the guys that are committed, hard commits. You got a flip candidate in Keelan Jones, and tell me about Brayan Outlaw.
Yeah, so Brayan Outlaw, obviously a guy they've liked for a while. This is a big flip for them. Obviously he used to be committed to Tennessee. So at one point he was there. You know how Tennessee looks at linebacker. Several good guys from Georgia has went to Tennessee and balled out. Jaden Parlati is going to probably be a starter for them next year. But it was so big for them to flip him because he's athletic, right? We think about some of the games we've seen this year, Jarvis. Came and Spalding. I kept advocating and telling you, hey, I want to see him play more because just the athleticism he brings on the defensive side of the ball. You're getting basically that in a Brayan Outlaw that can play different multiple positions. Now, they already got CJ Gamble coming into this 2026 class as well from Carrollton. Now, he's your headhunter. He's your hard hitter, right? He's kind of like that Kyle Eifert. But then you get a guy similar to a build of a Keelan Spalding that you could pretty much match up anywhere in the box, playing the slot against the tight end, maybe even guarding some of those slot receivers. He can do a little bit of everything, and he can also cover his butt off as well, when he's put in those situations. So you're thinking about a guy that you're probably not going to have to rotate too much, and you're probably going to put him in different packages on those third and longs where he can match up against different guys and cover really well.
Yeah, I think that you talk about Keelan Spalding. He's another kid from DeKalb County, Miller Grove High School. So it's something in the water. I hear in DeKalb County, man. So I'm looking forward to him stepping into that role, and hopefully Brayan Outlaw can be another guy to add into the fold as well. Now, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and then I know you asked about Keelan Jones. So Jones is a guy they've been high on for a while, Jarvis, right? It's a guy they've wanted. They was recruiting him even when he committed to Georgia. This has been a nonstop relationship, and the key in it was the consistency throughout. They consistently recruited him, and he's a guy that can play a little bit of everything. Offensive side of the ball, he played for Sprayberry. They had a great year this year, 9-3. He was running the football. He was catching the football. What's the difference he makes? The versatility. We already know about John Gilmore. Obviously, unfortunate injury to him, probably won't be back next year. But, they need multiple guys that can move around the place. The great defenses you're seeing this year, and obviously throughout college football, they got guys that can move anywhere, right? Think about the Grayson Littletons, the Bryce Fitzgeralds of Miami. Grayson Littleton plays for Texas, right? The Anquan Fagans of Auburn, right? The Bryce Winter. Like, these guys can move all over the place. So if you think about their class, you think about, obviously, Tate Harris. You think about Phoenix Hall, who got his first PT. They got another guy they can throw into the fray that can move all over the place and kind of play that John Gilmore role, playing that star position, coming down, blitzing, covering. They need that. And that versatility is going to help them out a lot. So that was a big gift for Coach Peoples and obviously the defensive back room.
Yeah, the versatility on defense in today's world and what all these things that the offenses are trying to do to defenses, like just from a formation standpoint, as far as having dang near 3 wide receivers on the field at all times.
Yes.
So yeah, it's the versatility is a must-have in today's game, especially for Blake Gideon, because I think that he's going to need that to have options to be able to do what he wants to do on the defense side of the football. Now, Naje, I want you to tell the folks what you got going on. You got something big coming up on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. What should we be looking for?
Yeah, man. So got something big for you guys. I will be hosting a National Signing Day special. I will be at Jonesboro to start the day. I'll be on site there for the first hour 15 minutes, and we'll be hosting their National Signing Day. They got 5 recruits: Cortez Redden, John Tavis Wyman, Frank Jackson are some of the headliners there. So I will host that. My co-host Bacon, Arvon Bacon of Bacon Network, he will be hosting from home. He'll take it over as I commute back home for the rest of the day. And then we're going to do what we're doing now, Jarvis. We're just going to have conversations. We'll talk about Georgia Tech football. We're going to have on several different recruiting guys. Brent Greenberg of 247. We're going to have Jeremy Johnson of Dawes HQ coming on. And then we're going to have several recruits coming on, too. The Herd Twins, they'll be in the building. We'll talk to them. We'll talk to several people, man. So y'all stay tuned. 10 o'clock on my YouTube channel at NAJEH, Naje, NAJEH, Wilk, WILK. Y'all can check me out there, man. I'll be live for most of the day. I might even do a post-game show, too. We'll see.
All right. He is Naje Wilkins. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it, man. Recruiting analyst for Sports Illustrated. You guys, I want to thank you for making Locked On Georgia Tech your first listen of the day. Why don't you stop by Locked On ACC and make them your second listen? Alex Dono and Keaton Gibbs got you covered. All things ACC. And of course, Dono is going to be trying to tell you how Miami should be in the college football playoff. I agree. They should. So yeah, make sure you guys check those guys out. And we also want to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. We appreciate you, and we'll see you